On today's show, a game and a win to finally be proud of. The Dallas Mavericks get a win against OKC without Luka Doncic. PJ Washington, the God of Thunder. We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Amazing.
Your team every day.
Still can't eat milk.
Woo, great day for Dallas sports.
Yes, it is.
Go Cowboys, too.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for reading every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Subscribe to our free Locked On Mavs newsletter, your one stop for the best news and analysis on the Dallas Mavericks and the rest of the NBA straight to your inbox every day. We'll send out one of those tomorrow. We want to stay the number one. We're also like 200 subs away from 1,000. So get us there. It's free. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can get place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, the post-game prodigy, not suited and booted, but the Mavs get a win anyway. The post-game prodigy. What you got for me? Slightly biased.
Oh man, that was a great win. Honestly, It really was. It got dicey there down the stretch, but because naturally it has to. But man, that was an incredible win.
I think I needed that one in my soul. I needed two wins today. I needed the Dallas Mavericks to win this game, and I needed the Dallas Wings to get the number one pick in the WNBA draft. Let's go.
And I needed the Dallas Cowboys to not play.
That's right. The Cowboys tweeted the empty stadium with Cowboys versus Texans on the Jumbotron. It said 24 hours, and I was like, that's kind of like a threat.
Yeah, that is threatening.
Comes off as a threat. Yeah. Today's episode, we'll get into the great game that the Mavs just played. Came down to the wire. They almost gave it away a couple times. We'll talk about some of those issues that the Mavs had late in this game. We'll talk about the bigs playing against OKC without any bigs. Their bigs are all injured and all that. But let's start here, slightly biased. The Mavs' biggest advantage in this game was not their centers necessarily. It was PJ Washington. An absolutely immaculate game. Just almost cannot say anything bad about him in this game. 27 points, 17 rebounds. He returns to OKC and starts the game hitting 3 threes. Didn't hit another one the rest of the game because the rest of his damage he did in the post and in the lane and all that. 2 assists, couple of blocks, some really good defense, I thought, too, in this game. He was the only Maverick that really stopped SGA in any form or fashion. PJ Washington was just the biggest advantage because all the attention was going to the Mavs bigs on rebounds, on any post touches that the bigs got. Lively and Daniel Gafford were just swarmed. I tweeted the gif of Buzz Lightyear standing in the claw machine and all the aliens like crowded around him and putting all their hands. It's what it felt like every single time Gafford or Lively got the ball. And then PJ was just roaming around and was able to grab rebounds, was able to get stops, was able to get extra buckets and things like that. An amazing game for PJ Washington.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is what the Mavericks desperately have been missing over this little rough stretch is a guy like PJ Washington. And, you know, when the Mavericks coming into this game are always going to have a massive size advantage. Like that, we already knew that with all of the injuries the Thunder have in their front court. Like J-Dub is their 5, basically. So we already knew that they're going to have a big size advantage.
6'5" guy at center.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you knew the bigs were going to have a good game, but because the Thunder then have to put their biggest guy they have on the team on the bigs or like a mix of those guys, and that means PJ's going to also have a big size advantage on like Aaron Wiggins or whoever decides to guard him. So PJ was incredible tonight. Man, he just loves playing this Thunder's team. He just loves playing the Thunder, man. He loves it. He was incredible. And man, he's the glue. He is the glue guy for this team. Like the Mavericks, he is the glue guy. Like his defense, his size, his physicality. I've talked about this, but when you go back and rewatch games and these offensive rebounds problems the Mavericks have had, a lot of it is because they're really missing a guy like PJ Washington, who's really physical on the glass, like really physical. One of the few guys outside the Mavs bigs who really gets after it on the boards. And man, he was awesome. I mean, maybe his best game as a Maverick. I mean, it absolutely has to be up there.
I mean, the 26-point game
playoffs,
against the Thunder is not even his best game against this team. Like,
yeah, true.
That he's like, but
I mean, 17. He had 17
rebounds. Maybe his best full game, but like not in the context of playoffs. You've got to give that some extra juice there. But man, then they started very first play of the game. I always like to track this. Okay, what are they trying to do? Like for a while, the Mavs would just go first play to Gafford every single time, and I was curious to see at first play of the game, PJ Washington post up on Aaron Wiggins to start the game, and he got it. Then hit a 3 after that. Then Lively got a post touch and kicked out to PJ for a 3. And all of a sudden, the Mavs were up 11-2. So a fast start, and it was really thanks to PJ getting off to a hot start there and taking advantage of some of those opportunities and taking advantage of extra attention from the bigs. Lively gets that pass, and all the smalls all kind of congregate, and then kicks out to PJ for that 3. And it was they're wide open threes still. I mean, they can they went in, and they don't always go in, but they do apparently in OKC.
Yeah, I mean, him getting his 3 ball back would be really big and really big for this team. So, it's nice. It was nice not having to be down by 10 points for the entirety of this game. Because, hey, you know what starting strong gives you? It gives you a little leeway to make a mess of yourself on the basketball court over the last minute and a half and still win. Yeah. So that's what starting strong affords you. And PJ
I said that
reason.
I texted that to the Locked On Mavs insiders. I always text, before and after games and during games, I'll text notes and stuff. And I said, man, Dallas actually got beat 55-61 in the second half. Their hot start and like starting the game well got them a win because they had a lead going into halftime, which is important, right? And and just I think PJ's defense too. We've been looking for who's going to replace Derrick Jones Jr. as the guy to guard the SGAs, the Anthony Edwards, and I don't know. I think PJ is probably the best one on the roster. We've seen Grimes do some, we've seen Naji do some, but PJ still may be the best guy for that job if they can lend him to do that.
I was incredibly impressed by his defense tonight. I mean, like we knew he's a good defender, but yeah, he was. I mean, Shea had a great game. Shea was borderline unstoppable in this game. But felt like the
playoffs again.
Yeah, it did. This game was very reminiscent of that postseason series in a lot of ways. But Shea, PJ did a great job on him, man. He's strong. He's big body. He doesn't get bullied. He doesn't get pushed around, and he moves his feet really well. So yeah, PJ, him being back is just so big. Like it really is double entendre right there.
And he stays down. He stays on the ground. He doesn't fall for the pump fakes. He just stays in that stance. And you can see him. Like I can envision him in my mind. He gets hit on a little bump and he just kind of backs up a little bit, doesn't like fall for a pump, and then just like gets back into his stance closer to the player. And that kind of patience and that kind of just, I guess just, sturdiness on defense has been so important. He's been the best defender on the Mavericks this season by a lot.
Yeah, easily. I would agree with that.
Yeah, just a massive game for PJ Washington. Only 28 minutes too in this one.
Really?
And yeah, I was surprised because in the fourth quarter there was a stretch where I was just like, where is PJ? Why is PJ not getting any playing time in this fourth quarter right here? He ended up only playing like 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, so there's like a 4-minute stretch where he just wasn't out there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Only 28 minutes, but hey, that's good that coming back from a knee injury, like to have that level of impact and really kind of be the main reason the Mavericks pulled out a win tonight with only 28 minutes. I mean, that's great. That really is. I'm pouring honey on you, PJ Washington.
And it was a second. Don't do it now because I don't know if anybody else is getting these flies in their house, like these little fruit flies. That's because it's starting to get cold outside. Oh my gosh, they're all over my place right now.
No, I only have cockroaches. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take my problem instead.
Knock on wood. I do not want that problem.
PJ Washington, though, not a problem, but a problem for the Thunder. Incredible game in this one. 27 points, 17 rebounds, and just did almost everything right in this one. He was the catalyst. He was the one that made a lot of things happen. But coming up, let's talk about Kyrie leading this team. I thought Kyrie's leadership in this game was absolutely massive. We'll walk through how the Mavs got this win. Talk about that and more coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is there for you. There's a bunch of people in my life that I'm very thankful for. I've gone through some, honestly, really, really tough things in my life lately. And I'm thankful for people like Slightly being on this show, helping me get through episodes. Very thankful for people like Isaac, who has been, one of my best friends in life and has helped me through a lot of tough things in life. And we're all about gratitude this month, thinking about Thanksgiving and all that. And there's something that there's another person we don't thank enough, and that's ourselves. Putting in the work, doing the things that'll help you to become a better person. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I love that. I've used that before with BetterHelp because first therapist I didn't really vibe with, and the second one I did. And so worked out. Let the gratitude flow this month with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I'm there on Monday nights. Camille Davis and I will be breaking down all the action in the NBA, and we do every game every night. There's an episode tonight if you're listening to this. There's an episode whatever day of the week you're listening to this episode of Locked On Mavs, there will be an episode of Locked On NBA. That's the way we've set it up. Every game, every night on there for the whole season. Gotta love it. Locked On NBA. Go check out that wherever you get podcasts or wherever you're watching this. All right, Slightly. Let's get into this game. I want to just walk through this game because this was a wild game with a lot of ups and downs. So I just want to kind of walk through what happened. Let's I guess we'll start from the very beginning. There's a lot of wild stuff. They get off to that hot start finally, 11-2 to start the game, then 14-5 at the 8:42 mark after another PJ Washington three. So a 9-point lead early. They were getting some stops on OKC. Then Dereck Lively gets his second foul, and then all of a sudden it's 14-14. Mavs have to call timeout after an OKC 9-0 run, which was just tough. But what did you see in the Mavs' early start?
PJ Washington, I mean, just the Mavs played with a lot of – they had a great game plan time. And you have a size advantage. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. Like, hey, let's crash the glass. Our bigs need to be parked close to the rim. Like, the Mavericks really didn't run a lot of high pick and roll or anything like that tonight, just because they wanted to have their bigs constantly in a post-up position or just, ready to grab a rebound if necessary. So they played with a good, sense of urgency tonight, good pace. And early on, they had a game plan of we're going to post up. We're going to post up PG Washington. We're going to try to get the ball to our bigs, Gafford, Lively, sealing guys off and making entry passes, right? Making sure we have accurate entry passes and also taking care of the basketball. Because this is a Thunder team that forces an ungodly amount of turnovers. Like they lead the NBA. I mean, their defense is incredible. They fly around the court, even with their lack of size. And the Mavericks, their turnover numbers ended up being high because they turned the ball over, I think, 12 times in the last 30 seconds of the game, which I don't even think was possible, but they did. But beyond that, I mean, they were great taking care of the basketball. So they really just executed really well tonight. That's been a lot of the things about this season where it's like the execution is just not there. Like, I promise you guys, the numbers and everything would feel and look better if they just made shots or if a couple bounces went their way. I mean, that's obviously it's a make or miss league, but tonight they were going in and the offense looked great. And again, they played with a great sense of urgency.
Yeah, you can see that just look at the team's numbers. If you go to Cleaning the Glass, they have like a win differential number where it's like, what if we just looked at your stats, what should your record be in the amount of games that you've played? The Mavs should have like 2.3 more wins than they do right now. They should have had a couple more wins because of how good their numbers are. It's to your point, it's execution. That's the reason why they've given up some of these games in ones that it looks like they should win and all that. But their execution early was good. Kyrie Irving didn't take a shot until 4:25 in the first quarter. That crossover finish in traffic right at the rim. Mavs were up 23-21 at that point. And that was his very first shot of the game. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for this game because Luka's out and Kyrie has to lead the way. There's a lot being asked of Kyrie, especially the way that this offense has been. There's just so much on those two stars that if one of them is out, all of a sudden it's a huge load. But Kyrie played the game plan, spread the ball, did what was asked, and then came up big in big moments. And I thought it was interesting that he didn't score until 4:25. It was like the same as if Luka had been playing.
Well, I think there's a reason why he struggled against this Thunder team, or not really struggled, but just didn't. His volume is just lower against this Thunder team because they game plan him out. They try to prevent Kyrie Irving from getting going, and that's going to be, even more the case if Luka's not playing. And now we're really, he saw double teams tonight. They were overloading sides of the floor, like. Pretty much anytime he got the ball, and if the Mavericks emptied out side of the floor, obviously the guy guarding Kyrie would be there, but then they'd send somebody on the low block there ready to help on a drive or whatever. So I thought Kyrie did a good job setting up his teammates. He had a couple of just like really nice, just super smart passes where he's just so patient and he's watching his big and like, the entry pass is there, but he times it so perfectly that he waits until, Gafford or PJ or Lively had their guy perfectly sealed off. So it was just an immediate catch and an immediate, turnaround hook shot. So yeah, Kyrie was great. And then he had that flurry of points, the threes in the fourth quarter that were huge when the Mavericks really needed a scoring burst in the third quarter as well. So yeah, I mean, good stuff from Kyrie tonight.
Kyrie will come up again as we go through this game for sure. Massive moments. I thought also Hardy had a really good first quarter. He had 8 points in that first quarter, 4 of 5 in the field. And you just realize, and I think Hardy realized this, you could see him almost realize it in time. Hey, if I get by my guy, all I have to do is beat like a 6'5" guy at the rim. There's not this big 7-footer waiting to block my shot at the rim. So he just drove and just took it to these guys a couple times. He finished with 13 points and just 1 assist, but he didn't make any threes, only took 1, and he just got to the rim over and over again, got a couple of and ones, and I thought that it was a really good game from Hardy off the bench. Yeah,
just putting pressure on the rim. Like you said, man, you beat your guy off the dribble. There's not like there's going to be any backline rim protection there with all of these guys out. So I like that from Hardy. When Hardy's decisive and there's no hesitation and he knows what he wants to do, that's when you see the flashes and upside. So tonight you got that from Jaden Hardy, and man, just all of these role guys really played well tonight. And when the Mavericks really needed them to.
Everybody stepped up, it felt like. But yeah, Hardy and then Naji, they were both just getting to the rim. You could see that early in this game. And I thought that was interesting.
That Naji floater, man. It's just, it doesn't, some of the angles he gets them off at do not make sense, but they go.
My favorite thing is the fadeaway floater that he does at the rim in transition. He'll bump a guy right at the rim and then just fade and throw the floater up like while he's fading. And it's only the top half of his body that fades too. Like his legs don't go. It's not like a Dirk fade where the leg like kicks up.
It's definitely one of those results over process thing, because if he like misses those consistently, you're like, dude, we need to fix this shot. Like we can't be leaning back that far on like floaters and hooks, but he makes it happen.
It's like one of those things where if you tried to replicate it, you'd just be looking, just make you look really bad.
Yeah, you would you would not be picked up in the local pickup basketball games.
The Mavs took grabbed an early lead. They 39 points in the first quarter against the Thunder. I thought that was just amazing to get that many points in there. They were just taking them in so many different ways. Then you go to the second quarter and the Mavs, I thought, had a couple of good defensive possessions in there, and then Naji passed up a corner 3 to hit that floater at the buzzer with like a minute 31 left in the half. They went up 8 at that point, and it was one of the funniest subplots of this game. If you watch the Mavs broadcast, was Derek Harper laughing at Skin and Followell the more they got worked up about some of these fouls that were called. And then 31 seconds left, Lou Dort is like grabbing all around. I think it was Gafford, and then you go to the other end, and Lou Dort got called for that. He got that foul on offense, and Skin Followell goes, "There's got to be a foul there," in the middle of his call. Derek Harper's just cracking up at them. Oh, I mean, so great.
The part of the thing is the Mavericks did shoot 36 free throws tonight. So I mean, the refs were calling things, but the Thunder are so small that they're pretty much fouling every single time. Like it's one of those things where it's like, if they wanted to, they could probably call a foul anytime the Mavs big got the ball in the post. Yeah. Like just because they have the Thunder don't have another option. Like we have to swipe down at this ball or else it's going to be a basket. So yeah, there was some interesting no calls and stuff, but
yeah, we'll talk about some of them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
for
sure. The fourth quarter one really
in this game. Thunder came back. Thunder came back in the third quarter. They started the third quarter with like a 10-2 run, which was tough for the Mavs. Mavs took a timeout, and then the Mavs go on their own run. Kyrie, really, this is where Kyrie, I thought, really started to step up. He went on a little run. The Mavs went up 84-75, and then the Mavs, man, they had Kyrie subs out, 2:30 left in the third quarter. He subs out. The Mavs 5 awful turnovers in a row, almost in a row. Just the last couple of possessions. Soon as Kyrie gets out, and then they end the quarter only up by 5 at that point. But man, it was just really awful turnovers over and over
Yeah.
again, and you just realize they still need like another ball handler on this team. Dinwiddie, like we'll talk about Dinwiddie, but man, he just has not been the answer there.
No, that was kind of how the fourth quarter went too, where like the last 2 minutes of the third, you built the lead. The last thing you can do is just give the ball away. Just give the ball away. And what was frustrating about these third quarter turnovers, like Maxey, Hardy had a few where, I mean, like they were just getting the balls just taken out of their hands. Like it wasn't, bad reads on passes or, really nice strips. Like Maxey's turnover, the quarter, the ball just got ripped completely out of his hands. Maxey has not looked good, by the way, since returning from injury, but hopefully he gets going a little bit. But yeah, that was an interesting sequence in the third quarter.
He had one good dunk.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice attack.
Drove from the corner.
It's still waiting to see more from Maximilian.
I mean, we're waiting to see any kind of 3-point like attempts.
Really, out of any of these? Yeah. Did he even attempt a three tonight?
No,
I mean,
no. The
has
one
Maxey
shot
made
was
a
that
three?
dunk.
Has Maxey made a three this season?
I think he's made one.
I feel like he did on opening night. He's one of three.
I don't know that he played on opening night.
No, I'm pretty sure he. Oh wait, you might be right.
But you finished that quarter. You finished that quarter, and the Mavs had just a 5-point lead. They take that into the fourth quarter, and Kyrie didn't play to end the third quarter with those turnovers we talked about, and then the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you got just the two worst Dinwiddie shots in a row you can imagine. Like just so bad. One of them uses drive, and then he hit 2 threes in a row after that, which was absolutely wild. And I was just amazed that he made them. Coming up, let's get into how this game ended. Let's talk about the end. Let's talk about how the Mavs pulled this off. They almost gave it away and all that. We'll get into that and more coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. And if you place a $5 bet, your first $5 bet, you can win. You can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed if your first $5 bet wins. The NBA Cup. We're going to see the court on Tuesday for the Mavericks, the new court. That's the thing I'm interested in the most. But you can bet for who's going to be the tournament winner. The Cavs are like undefeated still right now, plus 650. The Knicks have better odds than them, plus 550. That's interesting. The Thunder, the Mavs just played, plus 700. Same as the Warriors, they're plus 700. So you can go check out that. To win the West, the Mavs are plus 500. They have the second best odds right after OKC at plus 260. That is kind of wild to me. Suns plus 750. Timberwolves plus 600. Interesting odds for the West and the NBA Cup there. Check it all out at America's #1 sportsbook. It's FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook. Again, put that $5 bet down. You can get $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Please gamble responsibly.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly, let's finish up this game because there's a lot in this fourth quarter. And I wanted to just walk through this whole game because I thought that it was an awesome game for the Mavs. So Dinwiddie takes those terrible shots. Then he hits 2 threes. He hits 2 threes in a row to put the Mavs back up 9 again. And it was just the Dinwiddie experience. It felt like in that moment where you're just like, oh, this is the Dinwiddie that the Mavs that I remember from the Mavs.
I mean, that was just a hilarious sequence because, like you said, 2 just awful possessions to open up the fourth quarter that ended Dinwiddie shots. We were just like, what? Okay, guys, let's get back into the flow of the offense. Like all the things that are working for us. Let's try to get back into that. And Dinwiddie takes a sidestep 3 going to his right. The next possession, and then hits it, and then makes another thing the next possession. Like, if Dinwiddie misses that shot, I think as a coach, you have to take a timeout right then and there and say, all right, you're done tonight. Like that's the end of that's the end of your game. But him hitting that's just quintessential Spencer Dinwiddie right there.
He had the most points in the fourth quarter of any Maverick. He had 10 points.
Needed that. I mean, 10 points like in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the quarter.
He also had that cut where late in the game where Kyrie got the attention and he was just wide open under the rim.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful play. That was a beautiful play.
Then he hit a couple free throws. So Kyrie checks back in with 8:32 left in the game, and the Mavs are up by 11 at that point, which was huge. Mavs, by the way, went 10-4 without Kyrie in that stretch, which I thought was interesting. They they won both stretches without Kyrie in this game. From the first quarter to second quarter when Kyrie was out, they won 16-10. From the third to fourth quarter, they won 15-13. I thought that was huge. The Mavs got contributions and got some points and defense when Kyrie was out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at like the minute distribution, but it felt like when Kyrie was out, Shea was out, and vice
Kind
versa.
of did, yeah.
So it was really crucial for the Mavericks to win those non-Shea minutes. They did a really good job. I mean, their defense just flew around, and this was a problem for the Thunder team last year. And this is my big concern for this Thunder team going into the playoffs. Is there's just times where it doesn't feel like they have. J-Dub hit a couple of shots and stuff. I mean, J-Dub finished with 27, but did you ever feel like J-Dub was like this overwhelming like second option presence in this game?
Not as like a creator, as a shot maker, yes, for sure. But they're looking for that other shot creator that can, all right, we need a bucket right now, go get it. J-Dub finished with 27 points, 11 of 17 from the field. He got there.
No, I know, but I'm saying like in those minutes without Shea, like that's the Mavs defense I thought did a great job of just making life as difficult as possible for some of these other guys on the Thunder. So then
Kyrie is back. The Mavs go up 14 with 6:18 left in the game, and you're like, all right, here we go. The Mavs are rolling. They got 2 offensive rebounds in a row. Kyrie hit a 3, and you're like, all right, we're feeling really good about this team. Then the Mavs challenge this foul, where Naji, I guess, hit SGA in the face. I still am not clear that he hit SGA in the face at all, because he doesn't flinch, his eyes don't close. Like I don't understand how he hit him in the face in that moment. Another unsuccessful challenge for the Mavs. They just can't win any of the. I think they're 2-10 or something like that. They were 2-8. I think now they're 2-10.
Yeah,
starting the season on challenges, which is wild.
I thought that was a fine challenge, though. Honestly, in that moment, I don't know. I guess Shea. I think instinctively, if you get hit in the face, you react to like you just respond to that immediately, even if it's soft contact. I think
especially in slow motion.
Yeah. Yeah, like he didn't even blink or anything. I mean, maybe Shea's just that focused where it's like nothing will prevent me from hitting this layup.
I need to know what kind of contacts he uses, because maybe seriously, it doesn't even affect him to get touched, something like his eye to get touched, which would have had to happen. Naji would have had to touch his eye, in order for him to have been hit in the face.
I knew once I saw the angles of that, I knew they were not going to win that challenge, though. But I didn't think it was a bad challenge.
No, but they did not get it. So then it's an 11-point game at that point. Mavs, waste a possession. Kyrie had to force a 3. J-Dub for the Thunder gets an open 3. Another bad possession where Klay had to force a jumper. Jalen hits another 3 again. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game, and the Mavs then check back in. Kyrie, Hardy, Naji, PJ, and Lively. They had Dinwiddie out there, Klay out there, and Dinwiddie, besides that stretch, was not very good the rest of the game. And then Klay really struggled in this one to shoot. He's 1 of 11 from the field. So he finally puts PJ back in too, which I was waiting for PJ in the fourth quarter in this. So Kid puts him back in, and they go on this 3-possession stretch that I thought was the biggest stretch of the game for the Mavs. Kyrie misses a shot. Lively gets the tap back. Then PJ taps it back, and then they tap it back and forth. And PJ gets a floater right at the buzzer. Mavs go up 116-109. Then SGA misses a jumper when Lively had to switch on him. That was massive. Kyrie hits a 3. Again, Mavs go up 10. Then PJ gets a stop on SGA, just straight up one-on-one. Massive. And then the Mavs had to call a timeout because Kyrie got stuck in that trap. But they were up by 10 with 1:30 left. And that stretch to me was like, that won them the game, because they couldn't, they tried to give it away the rest of this.
Yeah, that was a huge, they got to a 5-point game, right? Like the Thunder were figuring some stuff out. They were on a pretty big run, and just execution down the stretch. And that's just your bigs being big, getting offensive rebounds, all of the things that creates for you, those second chance points. And then, Kyrie with tough shot making, PJ with that tough floater right at the end of the shot clock. Like just big plays from these guys. And it's a great win. It's a gutsy win. On the road.
Absolutely. So they go up by 10, 1:30 left. Mavs play good defense for like 22 seconds. Then Kenrich Williams gets a wide open layup right at the rim.
That's fine. I was okay with that.
It was a good play by OKC. Definitely a good cut by Kenrich Williams. Lively, I think, overhelped on it, but you don't
want to give up a 3 or something there. They made him work for that whole possession. Like that was fine.
So it's an 8-point game. Then a minute left. PJ Washington, terrible pass, bad pass turnover. Then OKC throws it right back. Then OKC fouls Lively on purpose. And so you're like, all right, we're feeling really good. You're up by 8. There's less than a minute left in this game.
Like, you're not feeling good. The game's over.
Then Jalen Williams just steals the ball from Hardy at half court. Like just one-on-one dribbling. Like this is why it's hard to like project what Hardy's going to be, because you can't trust him in moments like this where it's high pressure one-on-one against a really good defender. So then Jalen steals from Hardy. They score on the other end. It's a 6-point game. Then Naji throws that terrible pass to Lively. This is three turnovers in a row. and then Jalen Williams gets a wide open layup. It's a 4-point game at this point with 31 seconds left. And that was a brutal stretch.
That Naji turnover was inexcusable. I mean, like, just dribble it out. There's no reason there. It wasn't like Naji. I don't even think Naji was had ball pressure on him. And then he just decided to throw a cross-court skip pass.
This is the thing about
to your worst
Naji.
Free throw shooter, even. Like, it's there's no logic there.
This is the thing about Naji wasn't there when Lively played keep away from Chet, where he had to run around in the playoffs. So he doesn't run. This is the thing about Naji we've been saying since the summer, before he even put on a Mavericks uniform, is he's going to do some insane stuff that is awesome, and he's going to do some insane stuff that's bad, right? It's just it's coming with it. So he took that risk, and he took that risk in that moment. That's what he's all about. He'll take the risk for the awesome.
Yeah, that was he was good tonight. The last minute or so was not kind to Naji Marshall.
No. PJ gets fouled, hits both the free throws, really clutch. Mavs get 121 to 115. Then Naji again falls down guarding Shea, complains that he got pushed in the middle of the play. And then SJ hits a 3 to make it 121 to 118. And that was a brutal thing too.
I think he was trying to foul. It almost looked like he was trying to foul him.
I don't know.
By the way, there's this analytics boom now where you're supposed to up 6, you're supposed to be fouling.
Oh, we're not just doing up 3 now. We're doing up 6.
No, I saw a tweet that the Lakers did it, and they're like, the analytics have been saying this for a while now.
Next, we're just foul up 9, right? That'll be the next one.
Yeah, from 9, we're just gonna foul for the next 3 minutes.
Foul up 9 late. Then 19 seconds left, which we stayed at 19 seconds for an hour and a half in this game.
I think Worldwide Wobe tweeted out the last minute and a half took 20 real minutes. Adam Silver, fix your league. That's horrid.
It's so bad because OKC challenged a call where Naji fell down. I think he actually got pushed by Kenrich Williams a little bit, but they called it on Dort. It was a successful challenge, and it turned to a no call. Dallas had possession of the ball, so they kept possession. So really the only thing that changed was Dort didn't get called for a foul, and they didn't get free throws. And then Dallas tries to take their last time out to advance the ball, and then Mark Daigneault, the OKC Thunder coach, comes over to the refs and actually explains the rule to them, and they change the call and say that the Mavs can't advance the ball. I thought that was an insane sequence, and it made me kind of jealous of Mark Daigneault as the Thunder's head coach because he knew the rule better than the refs did.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people be mad at Kid about this game. Is it just like an automatic trigger? I really don't get it. It's like this didn't go my way, Kid. It has to be Kid. It has to be. My brain is short circuiting. Well, this game was not the one where you're like, oh, this team wasn't ready for this game. They didn't get up for it. They didn't look ready. But the Thunder just always look up for each game, prepared for each game, prepared for moments. And then the Mavs were having these terrible turnovers and these at the end of the game where you're like, the Mavs got out executed in the last 5 minutes of the game. They just ended up winning because they had a lead. I mean, they were playing not to lose, and everybody was playing a little bit tight. And then you had a bunch of guys who realistically aren't usually on the court, or at least asked to ball handle with any real regularity late in games against a team that forces more turnovers than anybody and was dialed up to 11 at that point. So just some bad execution by the Mavs.
Anyway, Mavs get the ball. Kyrie holds the ball in the corner and gets fouled by Lou Dort 6 times. I counted.
Yes. I mean, come on.
Just he has his arms all around him. He's hitting his arm. He's just doing all that. They call it jump ball. The Thunder win the jump ball, and and they call a timeout. And then you get the Dinwiddie fouls SGA. He makes the first free throw, missed the second. Mavs kind of get the just tap the rebound. They don't even really get it, even putting all their centers in. Mavs end up getting the win. A really good win for the Mavs, but just an insane back and forth. It's one where you're like, okay, at least they got the dub in this one. Yeah,
and that's that last few minute stretch is where having a guy like Luka is just the most important thing in the world, because you never feel like he's just going to get stripped. You feel like he can dribble the ball up.
Just need someone to
regardless
handle
of the ball pressure. He's going to take care of the ball. He'll make sure that you get to the free throw line. So that's where the Mavs desperately missed Luka tonight, was that final minute or two of the game. So, but yeah, just an incredible win for this Mavs team without your best player on the second night of a back-to-back on the road against the number 1 seed. Don't let the last minute make you think that this isn't an incredible win, because it is.
No, they came away with the win. They could have given it away.
Yeah.
They did everything possible to give it away.
Luke
they did not.
Luke Dort attempted a shot for the win.
I know that felt so much like the Nas Reed shot in the playoff in the West Finals, where it was like,
I mean, the way that his body was angled and like that would have been one of the most insane shots of all time.
He hit one against Maxey. I thought that was even crazier. That it was but he had a moonshot that one.
Like I thought if he can have power on this to make it go in, then it might be one of those seasons.
A good win for the Mavericks. We'll take it. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the QR code or the links in the description wherever you're listening, watching this, to subscribe to the Locked On Mavs Insider program to get text straight to your phone from me and Isaac. To get the newsletter, you can subscribe to that as well, straight to your inbox every day. Help us to get to 1,000 and stay number one in Locked On. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Isaac and I will be back tomorrow to talk about the Mavs without Luka in this game. And Slightly and I will have the post game against the Pelicans. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
PJ Washington.
Page Beckers.